Okay, so now that we have done our first mind map, I want you now to go to the second mind map. This will be a little more complex, but it's very easy also. And we want you to see that attached you have also received a text that's written the history of the pencil. Okay, I will come to this in a short while. So now we will do our second mind map. The first one was about qualities. And we saw the importance of using nouns instead of adjectives as keywords. And it was very easy, and we did it very well. And the second one will also be very easy, even though it is a little bit more sophisticated. This mind map will give us the opportunity to understand why sometimes our note-taking process is not so efficient. And will give us also the opportunity to notice the chain of the information, how the information runs from one point to the other. So there are some very basic and important concepts in this second mind map. First thing is, you have to remember always that when we are in a note-taking process, or when we are telling a story, or when we want to memorize some information, the chain of the information is very important. So we always start from the concrete to the abstract. So if part of the information is concrete, is something that it's tangible, and some part of that information is untangible, it's abstract. So we start from the concrete to the abstract. And second, we will always start with the fact and end with the interpretation of the fact. So this is the chain of information. That's what gives the information integrity. So for us to better remember and recall the information, the chain in the integrity of the information should be in the proper order. So this will give us the opportunity to see why sometimes we make some mistakes that we don't even notice. So this mind map will be called the story of the pencil. The story of the pencil, it's a very simple story, but it's very nice. And it's about a grandmother and her grandson. And they were talking, and she is writing a letter. And the boy is watching her writing the letter. And he asks if she is writing a story or in which he is involved. And she says, yes, indeed, you were part of this story. And but much more important than the story is the pencil I'm using to write it. And this pencil, if you pay attention to it, it has 5 qualities. And then she goes on and describes each quality. And what I want you to do on this mind map, the story of the pencil, is you will do a mind map with the story of the pencil as the title. You can draw a pencil, you can just write the story of the pencil, but you have to do it right at the center of the page. And always remember to use at least 3 colors at the title. So always we will do that when possible. I always have a 4-color pen with me, because when I'm taking notes, I always do like that. So I think it's a good thing if you always have a three or four color pen with you, and when you start mind mapping, you will be able to use different colors in a map. Okay, so at the center you will write, right at the center you will write the title. Remember that we are writing we are doing a mind map about the story of the pencil, so the title will be the story of the pencil. If you can include, if it's easy for you to draw a pencil, do it, but write the words, the story of the pencil. Then you will, to make things simpler, I want you to go directly to the first quality. So you take, you write, you draw the first branch, and you find a word that you think it represents the word which it's the key word that represents the first paragraph. So try to summarize the whole paragraph, the first quality, with one keyword. And always remember to use a noun instead of an adjective. Then on the second word, on the second branch, you draw a second branch, and then you write a keyword that represents the whole paragraph. Try to avoid writing phrases. Look for a word that is representative of the second quality, and so on up to the fifth quality. And then I will come to, I will wait you for you to do this, and I will come back to see how I have done. And also from each branch, if you want to, you can detail, you can write comments, you can write insights, or write something from the story that details, that goes further, detailing the qualities. Okay, I will come with to show you how I did this map, which is just my map. It's perfectly fine if you do it differently, but there are some elements that it has to be the way that I will show you. Okay, so I'll show you now my map of the story of the pencil. So which word did you choose to represent the first quality? Okay, the first quality, I think it's hand. It's the word. It's sometimes people write God, sometimes people write a guide or something like that. But remember that we are writing and we are making a map, we are doing a map of the story of the pencil. So the integrity of the information, it has to go from a concrete, tangible thing to the abstract. God, it's abstract. We can hold him. It's not tangible. What is tangible is the hand. So the hand is what holds the pencil. So the hand is directly connected to the pencil. God is a metaphor for the hand. So the hand represents God, represents a guide, represents a guidance. So as we are writing the story of the pencil, so we have to write things that are the first branches, the primary branches, must be connected with the story, and it has to be elements that are contained literally in the story. So the second is the sharpener. It's the sharpener. It's not suffering, it's not evolving, it's not evolution. So the second is the sharpener that is directly connected with the pencil. So it is also a concrete thing. So we always go from the concrete to the abstract. We will always go from the fact further and going to the interpretation. So sometimes we think we are trained to go directly to the interpretation, because that will make us feel and seem more intelligent. So we understood it and we go directly to the interpretation. But that's not good for the information, because before the interpretation we have the facts, we have the information itself, and then we have the interpretation. Once we have the facts, we can have different interpretations, but we cannot have different facts from what is really in the text. So the primary branch always is something that is really connected, which is really the central part of the information. So it's something in the information itself. It's a part of the information. It's something tangible. It's something real. And the metaphors are interpretations, so they are secondary to the information. If whenever we change positions of we put first the interpretation and then the facts, that breaks the informational hierarchy. And of course, when it's something very simple as the story of the pencil, it makes no difference. But when we are having and dealing with complex information, that will make a big difference, a huge difference. So always remember to go from the concrete to the abstract, and from the fact to the information. The third is the eraser. The eraser, and what does it stand for? For correction, for justice. So the fourth is the lead. So the lead, it might represent the character. It might represent the interior, the inner essence of us. So this is interpretation. So this is all secondary or tertiary branches. But what is connected with the story of the pencil is the lead. And the fifth one is the mark. And the mark leaves traces. So, and these traces are the deeds that we do, so it's all interpretation. So it's not directly connected with the pencil. So you see the importance of keeping the integrity of the information and the hierarchy of the information, because that's how the good information that keeps us connected and remembering. We always remember more information that come to us in the right order. What is a good teacher? A good teacher is someone that presents new information, or information that we want to keep in a way that it's easy to remember and to understand. Much more important than to understand an information, which is central. It's very important to understand the information, but that's not enough. We have to remember later. So in order to remember, to better remember an information, it has to have informational integrity. And the informational integrity, it follows a path, a hierarchical path that goes from the concrete to the abstract, from the tangible to the intangible, and from the fact to the interpretation. So this is very, very important. And most of the times when we are doing some papers that we have to submit to someone, every time that the paper comes back to us to redo it, it's because we didn't follow these rules. If we do follow these rules, then we will have a very we will have informational integrity. So the scientific method, it follows exactly this path. So we first see something, we understand something, we describe it, we see if it happens again, and then we, at the end, the conclusions are the interpretations. But first we have the experience, we observe the phenomenon, and then we will draw our conclusions. So that's informational integrity. And that's what mind maps allow us to do it very easily. And if we follow this path, if we follow these simple rules, if we do it in a mind map, which will make it easier for us to see the information as a whole, it will make things much easier. And it will make things much easier also to remember, besides making it easier to understand. So returning to the story of the pencil. Okay, just for instance, imagine that you will have to, 10 years from now, you remember this story and you want to tell someone. All you have to remember is the title, and you will have to remember the 5 keywords. If you do remember the 5 keywords, you will remember the whole thing. Because even if you don't recall it with perfection, perfectly what was written, if you remember the 5 keywords that represent the qualities, you can make up a story, but with the content in which the author of the story would recognize as his story being told in a different way, but the basic elements were kept. So the information was there, even if the complements are a little different, but the core of the information was present when told sometimes later. And I want you to see now this. Which of these two things is easier to remember? The text or the mind map? If you had only about 2 minutes to review before telling this story, which would you prefer? Would you prefer to see the text or the mind map? So mind maps give us a picture of the information, so it will make much easier. Just imagine that a lawyer, an attorney, wants to go to court, and he has a case to present, and instead of taking all those pages and pages of process, he had all that, but he had also a mind map showing him which points he couldn't forget while defending or accusing, and a mind map saying where in the process, on which pages of the information is. But he drew beforehand the whole process in a mind map. So it would be much easier for him to go through the process and keeping the informational integrity. If you have to tell something to someone, to present a project, write a mind map. It will be much easier. If you need further information, just point at the mind map what the information is, and when you come to that point in the presentation, you just go to the reference that you wrote. So mind maps make it easier. It's like an index of the information while keeping the whole information very easily seen. And it will make also much easier to to tell the story in a different order and still keep the story as a whole. Instead of going to the first point, second point, third point, fourth point, and fifth point, you can do it in a different order depending on the public to which you want to present your information. So depending on the way you want to present, what you want to make your presentation, let's say a sales pitch you want to make. So depending on the public, you might want to change the order of presentation, but you still want to keep the information as whole. So the mind map allows you to do this. You don't have to go over different pages and see and being afraid of forgetting something. So it's all in one page. So I hope you understood this, and I hope you find this also important, because this is very important. It's a very intelligent way of keeping information as a whole and making the information our own. Before I did the mind map, this story of the pencil, it belonged to the author. But when I did this, when I added my own insights, it is mine also. So that's the way of, and I always remember better, I always recall much better the information that I am part of. That's mine too. So mind maps allow us to make the information that was not ours, that was external, to be internal. So now we have contributed to it. We also provided you with a paper and asking you to draw to a map, a mind map about a business plan. And there's a set of instructions, and all you have to do is to follow instructions. To follow these instructions and do your third map. So it's about a business plan. And before we go on, before you do that, I want you to say a few words about the different types of information. We have an information which is external, and I want to make it internal. So I want to internalize that information. It's something that I want to have it. So it's when I read a book, when I read a magazine, when I watch a TV show, so when I go to a lecture, when I go to a class. So it's information that I didn't have that I want to have. So I note, I annotate, I take notes, I study, I review until that information is internalized and it's mine too. So this is the story of the pencil. It's something that I didn't have it, and now I do. The other type of information is the first one, about the qualities. The qualities is the information that I have and I want to give to someone, to pass on to someone. So this is the second type. So I have to organize the information so that it will be easier the person to pay attention, to understand, and to recall later. And the other type of information is group information, team information, information that it's only possible or much easier when I can share with other people. So it's like the business plan. Business plans, I can do it myself, I can do it with associates, I can do it with other people, with advisors. So it's a group planning, it's a team planning. So different people come and contribute, each one with part of that information that will be presented, will be connected, will be integrated as a whole. So mind maps make it very easy to work with all these three types of information. And okay, so this is the technique. So this is the simple technique. It's very simple, but it covers everything about information. And if we do follow these rules, always remember to use noun instead of adjective as keywords on the primary branches. Second, always remember to go from the tangible to the intangible. Start with the fact to the interpretation of the fact, and from the concrete to the abstract. If we do that, we will improve a lot our recalling later of the information that we have internalized, and we will also be much more efficient in our presentations, in our when we talk to other people, when we are teaching someone. So mind maps are very efficient, very useful for us to organize information, all types of information. I use mind maps in many different ways. Any type of information can be mapped, can be mind mapped. Math, physics, statistics, and plain information. Schedule, week schedule. I keep most of my weekly schedule. I keep in mind maps. So I have a template of the days of the week, and all the appointments that I have for that week. It's in a mind map, and of course I just keep that for records. And all the mind maps that I do, I keep them also. And the good thing about mind maps is that it's very easy to update. If I do have to update an information on a mind map, it's very easy to do it. A word about how to mind map. If you are mind mapping because you want to learn something, let's say a student, and he is studying to learn something that will make use of it later. So I would much prefer to do it by hand. And when I do it, when I finish the mind map, either I scan and save it, or I go to a mind map software and transcribe the handwritten map to the software. When I'm doing something that I do not need, I can use the map itself to recall later. Like, let's say that it's a lecture that I have to do, it's a presentation that I'll have to make. What I do is I go directly to the software. So doing the maps by hands, it will make it easier to understand and to make it easier also to recall. And it helps, the handwritten map helps the brain to understand and to recall later. So if it is some information that you are learning, like when I was studying in medical school, all my maps I did by hand. I kept them. Later, I scanned them, and I still have them. When I have to update some of the information, I do have to update much of the information that I learned at medical school. What I do is I just update them, and but I handwritten it. But when I'm studying, reading a book, I just go directly to the computer. Always that I'm reading a book, I do a mind map of that book. If it is, if I want to be very precise, I do it chapter by chapter. If it is not, if I don't need to be so precise, what I do it, I just write the main contents of the book. But I always record, I always save part of that information so that the investment of time or in money that I put in that book, it's saved for a long time that I can use it later. When I see a movie, I usually also do a mind map of that movie with the main characters, who was the director of the movie, what was the plot. And so I have that, and I file that and save it and store it, so that whenever I need some information about that movie, I have the mind map. So that helps me to organize my memory. So mind maps are a continual memory. So it's a way of making the time that we invested in something to last longer. So it's making the investment worthwhile.